the Doja Cat fan.
Oh! Yeah, I've been following her makeup tutorial.
What's up? She got cancelled.
What? Was it like old?
No, oh my god, it's like a mess. You should check out like Lovely T's video on her. It's kind of wild. Anyway, bye.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Hi, welcome to the first episode of Doghouse Live, where we're gonna be shouting about the things that we love, but like productively. So don't worry, you can still be a fan, but be a smart fan about it. We're gonna be showing new episodes here every other week on our YouTube channel, so remember to like and subscribe. I'm Cloie, your underdog host, and I can eat like 12 sushis in one go. So, bakit puro food related yung sa akin? Pati yung lumpia wrapper. Okay. If you didn't already know, Underdog is your safe space for your obsessions, fandoms, and fixations. So, if you love the show, I'm sure that you'll love our website. In this episode, we'll be helping you navigate the heartbreak that is your problematic fave. And we'll also be joined by our guests, and we'll be listening to some of your lamentations. Now, we all know that having your heart broken by a problematic fave follows a cycle. The stand cycle. Stage 1. The discovery. Listen. Hey, we all know that you didn't mean to click on that music video, but I mean, we're here now, right? So, it's fine. Tsaka parang nakaka-in-love. So, stage 2, admiration. So, now that you're all heart eyes for your new fave, no social media is left unfollowed. Tumblr, MySpace, Twitter, all of them. Now, you can just sigh wistfully whenever you get a new notification. Stage 3, support. Take my heart, take my money, but hey, you know what? I'm gonna buy it all. Merch, concert tickets, the food that you posted that one time on your IG story. I don't know how I remember that, but I'm buying it. You know what? I'll even message them. Please. Step 1, please. Stage 4. The pedestal. My fave? Wrong?
No!
Excuse me? They're like perfect. I need you to like... No, they're perfect. Or else I wouldn't have built them the shrine. Stage 5 is the disappointment. This is where it all comes crashing down. And this is what we'll be talking about tonight! So there's plenty of content out there about this discussion, but might be a bit difficult to find the support groups that go along with it. But don't worry, that's what we're here for. So today, we'll be joined by our 2 guests. First, we have Mac Arboleda, writer and nuanced fan of Azealia Banks. And we have Ina Musico here with us today, who is a major fan ni Taylor Swift. So, I heard that you guys are both experts at fan heartbreak. Can you tell us a little bit more about your problematic faves?
Okay, so hi, I'm Ina, as Cloie has just mentioned. My problematic fave, in quotation marks, was Taylor Swift. So I grew up with her, like when I was a teenager in like the time when we still listened to stuff on MP3. So she has been embedded in my life during like puberty. It was hard for me to see her as anyone that was problematic because you grew up with this artist. And when she became, in quotation marks, problematic with the whole snake thing with Kanye and like Calvin Harris, which I had to review because I I actually forgot why she became problematic. I just knew that there was a time when people were spamming her Instagram with like all these snake emojis, and I didn't really know what was happening. I just knew that collectively the crowd did not enjoy her anymore.
So Azealia Banks she's basically the patron saint of, problematic faves. She's the standard of problematic faves, I think. She's beefed with every musician out there, every letter in the LGBTQ community, every race and ethnicity, every religion, you name it. I think she's the problematic fave, I think. There have been so many opinion pieces about her, like, it's hard to be an Azealia Banks fan right now. She gets cancelled every 5 working days, and I love that I'm talking about Azealia Banks right now in this support group. So yun, some media are excusing her behavior because she's filled with black female rage. So parang maybe it's excusable that she's feeling this way, or she's acting this way kasi she's black, she's a female rapper, So later on I'm gonna talk about how I feel or think about Azealia Banks.
And here, why don't we listen to one of our fan submissions who had their own heart broken by Mr. John Lloyd Cruz.
I've been a fan of John Lloyd Cruz since I was 13 years old. That's more than 10 years of pledging allegiance to this leading man. His talent is unparalleled, and I love his photography and his art too. But I can't figure out how I should feel about the fact that he used to rub elbows with Honeylet, President Rodrigo Duterte's partner.
That's a tough one. Ina, Mac, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Like for me, especially if it's in the local landscape, it's a bit harder to kind of detach yourself from what it is that is happening, just because it's so close, like proximity-wise, it's so close to you. But specifically with that, it's extra difficult, given that our government is shit, that our admin is not great, and to know that somebody that I look up to or somebody that I love actually supports that system in some way, shape, or form. Like I feel like any kind of support for the admin that we have right now is just not it's not acceptable. So then, I think for stuff like that, I usually have to disengage with that favorite automatically if it has anything to do with politics, which it if that's the problem that my favorite is known for, I feel like that's a pill I can't swallow.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Mac?
How about you?
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
For me, siguro I'd like to congratulate the reader first for surviving 10 years of standing John Lloyd Cruz.
That's true.
I think it's super problematic kasi si John Lloyd, he's actually part of the art community. So sa mga galleries, ganyan, he rubs shoulders with a lot of artists din. So he's been holding these exhibits, ganyan. So it's really surprising, and even medyo nakagalit when you saw that John Lloyd Cruz was also part of this artists' Malacanang dinner. So in-invite sila ni Duterte, the president. Tapos John Lloyd Cruz was part of that. And then ngayon, in 2020, we see him taking part in this parang The Great Dictator speech, talking about, syempre, it's kind of a shade to the current administration now. So it makes you think, is this just performative? Why would you accept an invitation to a Malacanang dinner if supposedly your stand is that you're against, the politics of this person? So kind of forces you to disengage, really, and just stop believing that this person is someone you should look up to or someone you should, put on a pedestal. So that's my opinion.
I feel like that's a big topic now, the authenticity of the people that are in media or who are famous. But thank you for sharing your thoughts. How about you? How are you personally as a stan for your own? Like, you're a nuanced Azealia Banks fan and you're a medyo fan of Taylor Swift. Like, what's your experience with that?
Okay, so me personally, like as a stan, as of late, I am very like all out. I kind of dive in very fast and very deep into a fandom. But that's just recently. I think with Taylor Swift, the thing about Taylor Swift is that it was a slow process. I don't know if I had that idea of like going so all in because I was a kid and I had no money to like go all in into a fandom. So I think with Taylor Swift, it was kind of like a trickle, which was probably harder because she's so embedded in you. Like, you know, all your moments of like questioning yourself as a teenager is with your background music is Taylor Swift. So that's my relationship, at least with my problematic fave. That's how I went through it. So I wasn't like super, I'll do everything. I will go to all your concerts, buy all your merch because I was broke. Oh, or rather, I just did not have the money to spend.
How about your
So yeah,
newer
for me that's
newer
my
standoms? Is that the thing?
My newer
How about your
faves.
newer standoms? Because you mentioned
yeah.
that now you go all in right away.
I think now that I have some money, I feel like with my fandoms, because I love Shiny, just putting it out there. I went all in. Like, that was probably the most gung-ho I've gone. Like, I didn't think I would be flying to a different country for like a bunch of boys, men, whatever. But I did. Like, read about it on Underdog somewhere, just to put that plug. But then, yeah, I still try to keep that distance though, because I know how emotionally attached I get to a lot of things, and I think as a person, I'm very impressionable with like any media I consume. So, especially with Shiny, that they hold such like a special place in my heart. I still try to okay, I have to distance myself in some way and just know that, you know, these are people that I will watch on stage, but then I have to also, I can't fully put all my happiness onto them. Because if they're gone, then, you know, I mean, they're so old na. Like, Jingy's like 31. So, you know, like, they are, I mean, I'm not saying they'll disband anytime soon, but then, yeah. So for me, that's how I approach how I'm trying to approach people.
Okay.
So for me, I think
Yeah.
when I stan a person or an idol or celebrity or whatever, it really starts with just discovering their stuff. And then once I've decided that I like their stuff, I go on a Wikipedia binge, read about all their existing, you know, interviews, articles, kind of look for all their demos and their music, their past albums. And then when you've decided to stan someone, for me it's like, you know, that yung parang heat vision, you just like parang may feeling na parang you just want to absorb everything about them. That's all the good stuff lang yung kaya mong i-absorb.
Yeah.
So like when you scroll through their Twitter, parang oh my god, like yes, queen, like quote retweet everything na parang oh my god, I stan. Parang medyo hindi mo nakikita yung mga ibang medyo boring tweets nila, or like yung ibang tweets na parang medyo you don't necessarily agree
I
with.
pretend I do not
Yeah, parang
see
you're
it.
just like, oh my god, I stan this person. Because I think a lot of the people I stan, they put out really cool, innovative, like new stuff. So parang I don't usually stan, you know, the biggest pop stars, ganyan. So in turn, I think when I stan a person, it's like, it's difficult, for example, to stan Azealia Banks, because like I mentioned, she didn't go to the Philippines more than once. She hasn't put out a concert here yet that was publicly available. She's mostly international. If ever, I think sa Japan ata siya pumunta, sa Asia, not necessarily sa Philippines. Yung worst part about being stan lang is like being this kind of person who casually harasses your stans to like release your album, ganyan.
Okay.
Parang every tweet lang na parang going out for breakfast, ganyan, sasabihin mo na where's the album, ganyan. But that's pretty much it.
So, Mac, you mentioned particularly like on Twitter, like sometimes you do not see it. Parang may blinders tayo. Okay, thank you for sharing. Oh, that's wild. Ako, personally, I was like at the peak of One Direction Twitter. Like I had the whole account dedicated to just, oh my god, Harry Styles. If you see this, Mr. Harry Styles, I'm single. Hit me up. But honestly, I'm Harry Styles. Like, kahit nung nag-break yung One Direction, Harry fan pa rin ako, mga bes. Okay. But yeah, I had that dark time. Tapos naging street team president pa ako for a YouTuber. So, actually, street team member ako ng 2 different YouTubers. So,
That's amazing. What the heck?
yeah. So, I think Ina mentioned a while ago na for her in particular, there's that distance, right? But that's not the same for all the stans. So, I'm curious about what the both of you think about, let's say, blind worship. Like, the hardcore, like, kahit anong gawin nila, no, they're still perfect. What do you guys think about that?
I think I'm gonna go on like a small TED talk here because I think about this a lot. So there's this idea of cancel culture where you're like, I can't stand this person anymore because they're a horrible person, or like, why are you still listening or watching their shit? There's this parang discourse about how should we separate art from the artist. And the way I see it is that in a lot of cases, we should separate art from the artist. Kasi, for example, when problematic people like Kanye West, who's pro-Trump, makes a great album, I think you really have to think about, the means of production. Like, he's not the sole creator of that work. That album is made with the blood, sweat, and tears of his collaborators, the money of his fans. Like, he wouldn't be this big star if it weren't for the people who put out money, who, sell their shit just to buy their concert tickets or their albums, ganyan. So, that's kind of how I see it. Parang, you really can't put them on a pedestal kasi you also have to you have to parang destroy this myth of like the artist is a genius, ganyan. So ayun, just look at them as people. Tas parang you can't parang my stand with cancel culture is you really our attitude should be we shouldn't be canceling people kasi they're still people,
Yeah.
Canceling people is kind of like metaphorically killing them, like you're not giving them a chance anymore. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much for your thoughts, Mac. So, TED Talk. If you want to hire someone for a talk, hit Mac up. Because true to form, he is a very nuanced fan. Tama nga naman, maraming gray area when it comes to life. So, how about you, Ina? I'm curious about what you think.
Well, it's hard kasi to talk about, like, I think what Mac was saying, he made a good point about, a lot of these idols / people who are in the industry of, like, making the stuff that we like. We always see the one side of them, which is, and especially, I think this is more prevalent in, like, K-pop, but, like, it's always an image. You're fed an image. You're meant to consume an image and not actually the person themselves, because like they are an archetype of like your dream boy, for example. So I think that to an extent I can't really blame people for thinking that their faves will just be unproblematic until something really bad happens, and the thing that you kind of counter it with is that no, that's not how he is. Like, I know how this person is, and whatever bad thing that he did, that's not within his characteristics or whatever. But I get like the heartbreak, like especially like not recently, but J.K. Rowling's been going crazy on Twitter. Just having the time of her life, ruining whatever it is you enjoyed in your childhood, like whether it's but like just killing her own canon or attacking trans lives. Like she's just doing everything. She is not picking a struggle. She's gonna go with every struggle. And I just think I think that was a time when I really had to think also about like separating the art from the artist in that sense. Because I was like, I don't want to fully disown the Harry Potter franchise. Like, I feel like that's ripping 1/4 of my soul. As millennial as that sounds, I will take it. And it was difficult.
It's your Horcrux.
Yeah, she's the Horcrux. So I think it's really, if she does something like really bad, is this where you just kind of disengage because the cause is bigger than like whatever it is that you love. For example, like if supporting somebody, to me at least, if supporting somebody means that I am in some indirect way supporting some kind of injustice, I would rather just like not. Like, I will drop it if that's the case. But again, that's a very personal matter where it's like, I know this is where my line is drawn, and I don't want to continue supporting someone. And by continuing to support someone, I'm bringing down like another kind of community whose lives are like, they're much more important than, I guess, my emotional connection to things. But yeah, that's how I think about it.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think the process is hard, always. So I come from like a very privileged place where it's not me who's being attacked by her. So parang it's kind of easy for me to say also na parang, I don't have to, like, I can continue supporting, for example, her books and like reading about this. But I think if it's somebody that, was actually feeling whatever it is that she tweeted, then I can't speak for them kasi that's their pain. Like, that's a pain that I can't speak for, and I don't think we should. Like, yeah.
That's actually really interesting kasi parang form din siya of boundary setting. I mean, diba, any form of relationship needs boundaries. Wow. But yeah. Hey, I was a relationship coach. But yeah, I mean, sobrang gets ko yun. Parang, like, up until what point are we personally allowing ourselves to be enmeshed with this person?
I'm just happy na mas okay nang mag-stand ngayon ng Twilight ulit. Kasi lalabas na yung Midnight Sun.
I'm so excited for that.
So yeah, I'm gonna fucking read Midnight Sun. Like, fuck Harry Potter.
Like, that's what we need, or the vampires. That's just what we
Tama, I'm just gonna ignore the fact na Jacob wanted to marry Bella's, daughter. Pero yeah.
Her progeny, her fresh child, her fresh baby. He wanted that. But yes.
Thank you so much, Ina and Mac, for sharing your vulnerabilities as fans with us here at Doghouse Live. So I guess, to sort of wrap things up, I'm curious about if you could share, your experience with our viewers at home. What would you say would be a healthy way to be a stan in these times, and also, with the wisdom that you've gained?
Sige, Mac. Ikaw na.
Okay. Taray ng wisdom,
Taray mo
ha?
naman. Tao nga eh. Wise na. Yeah.
Siguro the advice I would give is the same advice I give to myself, which is just manage your expectations. If you stan someone, know the reason why you like them. So parang kunwari ako, I don't like Azealia Banks because of her politics. For example, I like her because of her music. So that's the expectation I set for her. So if mababa din yung expectations ko sa kanya sa politics, hindi masaya ako na parang kunwari, oh, she talked shit about Trump. Hindi masaya pa ako. So manage your expectations is the best advice I would give. It's healthier in the long run. You won't be disappointed. Tas sa sobrang baba minsan nung standard na or nung expectation na sinet mo, parang mas marami pa yung serotonin na makukuha mo from that. So that's what I have to say. Ayun.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Ina?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes. So on my end, I think I mean, sort of along the same lines as what Mac was saying, where you do manage your expectations. But I feel like, especially for people like me, that's so hard. Like, I mean, because I feel like Mac and I have very different personalities, like when we approach our faves. So I think if you're somebody like me who just gets very obsessed with particular things and goes like very deep into them, again, kind of know your limitations and maybe don't. To me, I think the most dangerous thing, well, one of the most dangerous things you can do is to really depend the entirety of your happiness on a specific thing. Because, like, not to be that cliche, but there's really, like, no one is perfect. Like, nobody's perfect, sabi ni Hannah Montana. So, like, we can't expect that nga of our idols. And I think just keeping that healthy distance also. And still knowing, like, again, what your limitations are when it comes to what you value as a person and, like, where you kind of draw the line is what's most important. When you're still trying to navigate fandom. I know it sounds very frivolous for a lot of people who probably don't have the same mentality when it comes to standing idols and whatever. But I think that it is important to have that conversation, lalo na that it's something that we constantly encounter on the internet anyway. But yeah, just keep your distance. Safe spaces between you and your favorites is what I would like to advocate for. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's a really good thing. Like, diba, not just in terms of being a stan, but just, I guess, in life in general. Parang, like, to always check in on yourself and, like, to set expectations and, like, as always, distance. So, thank you so much for sharing. Is there, for your final goodbye? For your goodbye.
My final goodbye? Are you canceling me?
I was like, no. I did not say that. Is there anything that you want to share with our viewers? Anything you want to shout out, stream, promote?
Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun talking about my problematic fave and joining this support group. I would like to plug and talk about one of our most problematic faves, which is the internet. So the internet right now is facing a lot of censorship, data privacy breaches, it's exclusive, lack of access, a lot of disinformation and trolls, and increasing commercialization. So I'm currently the president of the newly founded UP Internet Freedom Network. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for UP Internet Freedom Network. And we'll be launching soon some educational discussions and information campaigns on how we can make the internet a safer place. You could also follow me on my website, visit asshools.net. Ayan. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mac. Now that is a cause
great
I can
initiative.
stand. Pang TED Talk talaga.
Stream Azealia Banks, by the way, as a new one stan.
It's just like oh, by the way. So thank you so much, Mac. Again, as my final goodbye for this episode to you, thank you so much for joining us here at Doghouse.
You're cancelled.
Oh no, I haven't even started. Cancelled na ako. Lame.